The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
So sorry to keep you waiting. Crazy out there. Okay. Background in real estate. Manhattan, hotels, skyscrapers. That's impressive. Award-winning career in television. Ugh, love TV. Chopped, do you watch it? Oh, Atlantic City Casino. Oh, it went bankrupt. Founded a university. Education is so important. Ceased operation due to multiple fraud investigations. Okay. 8 close associates arrested or convicted of crime. 26 accusations of sexual assault. 26? $400 million in debt. Hush money to a porn star, endorsed by multiple white supremacy groups, obstruction of justice, nearly $250,000 dead in less than a year. Not sure what emoluments is, and you called war heroes losers. Okay.
Oh!
Got your letter of reference here from, I think this is in Russian, actually.
These commercials are awesome. Happy Friday, you bastards. This is the last weekend before the great Civil War begins, so enjoy it. Enjoy. Listen. Early voting almost over. In fact, it is over in certain places. I want you to know that, right? Yesterday, early voting ended in Alabama, Maine, and Tennessee. Today, early voting, this is the last day for early voting in Arizona, Georgia, Idaho, Massachusetts, Nevada, Texas. Oh my God, Texas. And Utah, all right? And then tomorrow is the last day for early voting here in Florida, North Carolina, New Mexico, Oklahoma. And by the way, Oklahoma, it ends like right in the middle of the day, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know why. Virginia and West Virginia. Now, you can still ask for mail-in ballots. I'm not even going to tell you where. There are some states that you can actually still ask for a mail-in ballot. No. Can you see how that would fail? Can you see? It is now Friday. The election is Tuesday. You're going to request a mail-in ballot today? Today? No. No. So here's the thing. No more mail-in voting. I think I expressed that I didn't want any more mail-in voting to occur on Monday of this week, right? On Monday. We came in here and we said, okay, stop mail. Because people were calling back in the day when he was trashing the whole thing. And then we saw these lawsuits get filed in 44 different states, 300 lawsuits. We started seeing the Supreme Court get active, federal courts, appeals court. Why federal courts are involved in state elections, it's bizarre, okay? This is really ugly, but it is all a stepping stone to get to the Supreme Court. Anyway, I said, don't mail anymore. Just drop off. Go to iwillvote.com, figure out where you have a drop box. Obviously, Governor Abbott in Texas has done everything he could do to keep people from having access to drop boxes. But on the plus side, he did add 6 days of early voting. We registered 1.8 million new voters in Texas. And so by the time early voting ends in Texas, you will have had about half of the, you'll have about 57 to 60% of voters already casting their ballots. Listen, you have more people voting in Texas early than altogether voted in 2016 right now. So this bodes well because, there's more of us than there are of them. That's just a fact, even in Texas. And so if we registered an additional 2 million voters in Texas, and we did, although Texas does not keep track of voter registration by party. So the only way we know is by where people were registered. And they were registered in Houston. They were registered in Austin. They were registered in Dallas. They were, right? So we feel good about this. Anyway, please do not vote by mail anymore or request a mail-in ballot anymore. From here on out, if you have early voting still open to you, I would suggest you get your butt online. Or if you don't, I would suggest you vote on Tuesday in person. Now, it looks as if, I mean, from all, we had some high quality polls come out yesterday. You know, there are some polls that are done by companies where when you get the paper with the polling information on it, with the questions and the answers and who and what, you should take that paper from some of these polling organizations and line your hamster cage with it. That's what you should do. We like to use our Palm Beach Post, also the New York Post, as mullet wrappers. You know, you take your fish and you wrap it in that. But some of these polls are so garbagey that it's garbage in, garbage out. You don't even want to look at. But we did get some high quality polls yesterday. We got a Monmouth poll, a Quinnipiac poll. We got a PPP poll. We got an Ipsos poll. These are legit and high quality polls. And it looks like the cone of uncertainty, you know, the cone of death, which, poor Gulf Coast. They got hit again. You got millions of people without even electricity. How they're going to conduct an election there? Very weird, very strange times for the Gulf Coast. But it looks as if the cone of uncertainty, the cone of death, is pretty straightforward. And all Joe Biden has to do is hold the 20 states that Hillary Clinton plus D.C. Okay, hold the 20 states plus D.C. that Hillary carried 4 years ago. That equals 232 electoral votes. That is only 38 electoral votes shy of 270, the promised land. So then you look at the states that Hillary lost by 0.8 of a point or less. 0.8 of a point or less. And of course, people in these places know it's Michigan. It was 0.2% different between Trump and Hillary in 2016. Pennsylvania was 0.7 of a point ahead for Donald Trump. Wisconsin was 0.8 of a point ahead for Donald Trump. And that made Donald Trump win, right? Now, if Joe Biden, can close that gap, which by all accounts, all these polls, all of them, show that Joe Biden is ahead in all of these states by much, much more than Hillary Clinton was in 2016. So Michigan goes to Biden and Pennsylvania goes to Biden. Now, Pennsylvania, I'll tell you why this is a problem in just a brief moment. But Michigan, Wisconsin, obviously going to Biden this time around. If you add in Pennsylvania, that gives him 278 electoral votes. He's over the top, right? And then that's not even counting Omaha, Nebraska, where Donald Trump went and literally was responsible for 30 people being hospitalized because he refused. Oh, now we know why those people were left on the tarmac. They were left on the tarmac because Trump neglected to pay the bus company. Yeah. So 30 people were hospitalized at his Nebraska rally. 17 people were hospitalized yesterday at his Tampa rally. Yeah. And he mocked them as they were falling down, needing medical help. 17 people. Because it was so blazing hot here. It still is. I know it's almost November, but it's like 91 degrees and 87% humidity here. And people were waiting for hours for him to arrive. And then they stood there and people were dropping like flies. 17 people went to the hospital. And he sees the fire trucks. Swear to God, this is the guy that loves hardware, military. He didn't even know it was a fire truck. This is so bizarre. But he sees fire trucks spraying the crowd with water to cool them off and to try and save them and intervening in rescues, fire rescues. And he said, well, are they friend or foe? Because if they're foe, let's make sure those son of a bitches are taken care of. While these people who were there to see him were being hospitalized.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Look at that. Oh, are they doing that on purpose? Are they friend or foe? I don't know. I actually felt good. I felt water on my face. I said, where the hell is that coming? They may be doing that on purpose. Let's find out if they're friend or foe. And if they're foe, let's take care of those son of a bitches. Look at that.
That there is a fire truck.
Are you okay? Oh, look, they're hitting the press. That's okay.
Oh, my God. So if you would be there disagreeing with Donald Trump's, maniacal screeds, then you should be taken care of, you sons of bitches. And if you were a friend, he couldn't figure out that the fire trucks were spraying people because they were dropping like flies because they had waited for hours to see him in blazing heat in Tampa, Florida. Okay. The man is so completely... And the only question I have left is what made Trump supporters so mean? That's the only question left to answer is what made them so mean, because they're about to, just lose their crap. You know that. There's a lot of, stuff going around, studies being done about, where and when the militias and the non-state armed actors are going to show up and, show their, discontent and their hatred for the winner of this election. I mean, there is... USA Today has an article. The Hill has an article. Their Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project and Militia Watch determined that Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Oregon are at high risk for increased activity, violent activity, leading up to and following the election. They also said North Carolina, Texas, Virginia, California, and New Mexico are at moderate risk to experience active militias. Quote, militia groups and other armed non-state actors pose a serious threat to the safety and security of American voters. Throughout the summer and leading up to the general election, these groups have become more assertive, with activities ranging from intervening in Black Lives Matter protests, organizing kidnapping plots, and targeting elected officials for trial and death. There's an increasing narrative and trend that groups are organizing to supplement the work of law enforcement or to place themselves in narrowly defined public protection roles in parallel with police departments of a given locale, the report said. It's talking about 9 different militia groups, the 3 Percenters, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, Patriot Prayer, who Donald Trump loves, right? They defended the guy who killed, the guy who was killed by U.S. Marshals without a trial, right? We didn't want to go through the process of a trial, so we just extrajudicially sent in U.S. Marshals to execute him. That was because a Patriot Prayer guy got killed, right? But they're talking about Lightfoot Militia, Civilian Defense Force, American Contingency, Boogaloo Boys, and People's Rights, 9 different militia groups. They say that they've been tracking 80 different groups since the beginning of the summer, and they said, quote, still, these risks do not mean that violence is inevitable, and voters should not be intimidated. Somehow I don't think we are. Rather, we hope people are able to use the data to evaluate their own threat environment and organize locally to keep safe, reduce polarization in their communities, and mitigate the risk of violence. Holy crap. So this will be the last weekend before the Civil War begins, when they lose. Now, why am I saying that Pennsylvania is going to be tough? All right, Pennsylvania is going to be tough because, not because it's so tight. Oh, no. They are suppressing the vote counting in Pennsylvania. Now, so far, the Supreme Court has declined to weigh in on the state's postmark law. Now, I keep telling you postmarks are legal exhibits. They are official. They are legal. They are accepted in courts of law all over the world, all over this country. Okay? And so if your ballot is postmarked by election day, in a normal environment, it would be counted. Now, we had a lot of issues during primaries, as you know. Primaries started off in Iowa, did not go well there. Remember that? I don't know if you can remember that far back. But the primaries took a long time to count Pennsylvania especially, 6 days to count their primary voters, okay? Same thing in New York. Trump likes to point to that as evidence of corruption or something. It wasn't. It was just took a long time to count. Sometimes it just does. So it can't be close in PA, and it probably won't be close in PA. But remember, the Supreme Court so far has declined reserving the right to interfere post-election. And that's disturbing considering that in certain counties in Pennsylvania, certain counties like Cumberland County, where else? There's a whole bunch of counties. Cumberland County, Butler County, not necessarily Allegheny County, which is Pittsburgh, but in certain counties in Pennsylvania, the supervisors of elections have already said they're not going to begin to count mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, whatever you want to call them, until Wednesday, November 4th. Wednesday is when they're going to start counting some of these counties, and they're saying it's because of COVID. They're saying they don't have enough space where the ballots are for people to come in and safely sit together and count ballots. And so they're going to have to stagger the counting, and for some stupid reason, this makes them believe they shouldn't even start until the Wednesday after the election on November 4th. Now, if it's razor thin, there will be an appeal to the court to intervene. And that is why I want you to return your ballots in Pennsylvania in person. Minnesota also in person. In Florida, you got to show up in person. Now, Florida made it kind of easy this year, which surprised me, but we have a new election supervisor, and she sort of thought about things and planned them in such a way that it was really kind of easy. If you got a mail-in ballot in Florida, you were able to fill it out at home, and you were able to bring it to several locations that the supervisor of elections actually manned. They had trucks, they had staff, they had drop boxes, they had all kinds of supervisor of election official sites to take your mail-in ballot to. Now, the problem in Florida, don't forget to put your ballot in the secret sleeve that looks like a Val pack. It looks like a coupon ad, but it isn't. It's the sleeve, and it needs to be in there. And do not, for God's sake, for Pete's sake, for the love of Jesus, do not forget to sign your ballot envelope. I know all the voters try to do right by the law, but I'm not sure that we'll be protected by the Supreme Court in this particular election. I just don't know. So I'm giving you the best advice I can, okay? Pennsylvania, God love you.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
All of this with the global warming and that, and a lot of it's a hoax.
It'll start getting cooler. You just watch.
And I see again the forest fires are starting. I said, gotta clean your floors.
I don't think science knows, basically.
I'm an environmentalist. A lot of people don't understand that. I have done more.
Oh!
Don't forget to sign the envelope. That's what they left out in that little clip.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, they left out the signing of the envelope. That's not good. Sign the envelope. Sign the envelope. All right. Chuck in South Carolina. Chuck in South Carolina.
Hi, how are you? I've been listening to your program today, and I've been really enjoying it.
Thank you.
You do a real good job. You do a good job with it.
Thank you.
But I was just real curious. I try to keep up with this stuff, and I've been watching Joe Biden and Donald Trump for, since this thing started, and I just cannot understand, and I was hoping maybe that you could explain it to me, how, with Joe Biden's record, you can hope that he will do a better job if elected president than President Trump has already done.
What has Trump done?
Pardon?
What has Trump done?
What has he done?
Yeah.
Well, he's got our jobs back from overseas.
No, he didn't. Actually, more companies moved overseas during Trump than ever before. In that tax cut in 2017, there was a tax break for companies that offshored. He actually encouraged them to move offshore. You know, here's what I would do if I were you, Chuck. I would do a fact check, okay? Just a fact check of things Trump said.
Okay.
And you'll find out that car plants did not move back to Michigan. You'll find out that 7,000 coal miners literally lost their jobs. You'll find out that the economy is short 10.7 million jobs with Trump. You'll find out that 8 million more people are now in poverty than before he became president. You'll find you'll see all the numbers and how this is a bad man. He's a bad man, yeah. Chuck. He lies a lot. He lies about things big and small. He lies about death. He lies about his responsibility. He lies about money he's taking from foreign countries. You know, he just took $1 million from Turkey to quash an investigation into a bank called Hal Bank. Now, that's complicated stuff. I get it. But just do a fact check and find and orient yourself into the real world of what Donald Trump has and has not done.
Okay, I understand. Excuse me.
Yes.
I understand that that you know that Donald Trump has actually told some lies, but
it'd be easier. It would be easier to talk about the things he said that were true than to talk about the 20,000 lies he's told.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, listen. Here's the thing. Here's the thing right now. First of all, Democrats do much better with the economy than Republicans over and over and over again. If you look at Bill Clinton's presidency and Donald Trump's, they will not stack up, okay? Bill Clinton was a far better president on the economy. Obama created 2 million more jobs than Donald Trump claims to have created in his second term than Donald Trump did in his first. When Obama became president, the Republicans had run this economy right off of a cliff. And Obama came in and did a stimulus package, which is what we need right now, and the Republicans refused to do it. They refused to help the American people. They've never seen a tax cut for billionaires that they weren't for, but it does nothing to help the economy. It does nothing to create jobs. It doesn't trickle down. Our economy is driven by you and me buying stuff, okay, spending money. It's a consumer-driven economy. The more money we have, the more the economy bubbles up. Okay, it doesn't trickle down. This is a lie they've been peddling for a really long time, and they've been stealing our tax dollars and redistributing them to the most unneedy. I don't know how else to put it, to the people who need it the least, only because the people who need it the least have representation through lobbyists and through donor money, and we get screwed every time we have a Republican president. Every single time. Every time.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I try to understand what you're saying. I don't exactly see things the same way you do. But
yes, that's because I'm telling you to go look. Go look it up.
Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that, and I've been doing it. But the fact is that I like the free speech, concept that you guys are using, and everybody gets a chance to talk. And I appreciate my chance. And thank you.
You're welcome. I hope he does look it up. I really do. I mean, there are so many fact checks out there. There's never been one in the last year regarding anything Trump said at a rally that's been less than 20 pages, because it's a fire hose of lies at these rallies, and fact checkers. We need oxygen at this point. Daniel Dale, Glenn Kessler, the people at PolitiFact, the people at, CNN's fact checkers. I mean, we are literally losing weight, okay, from the heavy lift that is fact-checking these Trump speeches, okay? The only good news in the fact-checking portion of keeping track of Trump's lies is that he's begun to tell the same lies over and over and over again, like the lie about the wall, okay? 4 miles, maybe 5, depending on who you're asking, are new barriers. The rest of it is replacement fencing. And no, Mexico did not pay for it. The United States military did. What do I mean? Donald Trump broke the law because presidents cannot spend money. They're not allowed. They cannot violate the intent of Congress. Congress is the appropriator. Congress spends money. They allocate the money. They vote on the money, where they want the money to go. And the president cannot defy the intent of Congress. However, Congress appropriated a very a nice pay increase for the military. Donald Trump took that money from the military, $8 billion of it, and moved it to the wall. That has to be litigated too after he leaves office. I mean, this is a bizarre president, and he's a mean person. And regardless of whether or not I hope you do follow through and do the Google search for Donald Trump's rallies, fact checks, or whatever, I really hope you do. It's important that you know. But if you don't, you know in your heart that Donald Trump is an evil, mean, nasty guy who is pathological. You know he's incapable of telling the truth about anything, including how many people have died, how many people are sick. He keeps telling people we have the vaccines. We don't have a vaccine. He keeps telling people on COVID, there are therapeutics now. There are no therapeutics now. Nothing is available to the public. Nothing. This is just bullcrap. And to lie about that?
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, for my friend in South Carolina, who I really appreciate his tone and tenor that he took with me, he was just very polite. I want to show you something. I mean, this is so simple. This is so simple. Donald Trump is going to disrespect you. He's going to lie to your face. To your face. He's going to tell America that we got this pandemic, we know everything about the disease, we got this under control, and that if you social distance and wear a mask, you're going to be cool, you're fine. And he's going to do it yesterday at a rally in Tampa where no one was socially distanced or wearing a mask.
The people are tired. They can't do it anymore. They can't do it anymore. They're losing their businesses. They're losing their jobs. They go back and the business is closed for 9 months. We can't do it anymore. They can't do it. We know the disease. We social distance. We do all of the things that you have to do.
Your face.
If you get close, wear a mask. Always controversial. It's not controversial to me. You get close, you wear a mask. Social distance. Social distance.
Look.
You know the bottom line, though? You're going to get better. You're going to get better. If I can get better, anybody can get better. And I got better fast. They were so happy. They couldn't believe it.
Okay, he just lied to your face. He disrespected all the people who were not socially distanced, who were jam-packed behind him. There was also an audience of about, I don't know, I'd say a couple thousand people. He says it's 20,000 people. It's like a couple thousand people, which is a big super spreader event, okay? No one is wearing a mask. No one is socially distanced. And he's telling you that we all know what to do, and they're not doing it. I mean, this is a simple thing that he chose to lie about. Like I said, he lies about everything. We deserve better. We don't deserve a stupid president. We don't deserve a pathological liar as a president. We don't deserve to have a bad man, a mean man, and a man who has no sympathy, compassion, empathy, understanding of the world outside of his bubble of wealth. I mean, his son did the same damn thing. Okay, so little crackhead, Don Jr., I got to tell you, this guy really, remember everybody, the parties in the 80s and the 90s, okay? And the guy that would go to the bathroom and then come out after spending a little too long in the bathroom and just be a motor mouth and just not be able to put a lid on it and think that what he was saying was the most important thing that had ever been said in the world, and that you had to listen to him because he's got these big ideas and he understands it, blah, 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 and everybody else is an idiot. Blah, blah. That's called cocaine. And I'm past the point of thinking he's snorting. I think we're talking freebase crack here. I think we're talking like Richard Pryor territory. I don't know. He was off in the hinterlands. He was just out of his mind, saying some really disgusting stuff yesterday.
These people are truly morons. You know what I mean? And I like how they go after Scott Atlas because he's not an epidemiologist, but Sanjay Gupta now magically is. I mean, give me a break, Laura. The reality is this. If you look, I put it up on my Instagram a couple days ago because I went through the CDC data because I kept hearing about new infections. But I was like, well, why aren't they talking about deaths? Oh, because the number is almost nothing. Because we've gotten control of this thing. We understand how it works. They have the therapeutics to be able to deal with this. If you look at that, look at my Instagram. It's gone to almost nothing.
We had 1,000 deaths, 971 deaths yesterday. It's gone to almost nothing. You know, the doctors, the real doctors, the infectious disease experts, the epidemiologists. First of all, the difference between Sanjay Gupta and Dr. Atlas, day and night. But Gupta is not making policy. Dr. Scott Atlas from Fox News is in the White House making policy, and his policy is herd immunity, which, translated into street talk, is mass murder. You understand? So little, bubble boy there, little crackhead, I don't know what his deal, I don't know, the guy is like wildly high. It's just obvious. Is saying there are therapeutics and we know this disease and the numbers are down to nothing. And first of all, I have to tell you, do you remember when the Center for Disease Control, think about its name, the Center for Disease Control, the CDC was told you're no longer going to report hospitalizations or infections or deaths. You're now going to give your information to the Health and Human Services. Okay, which is corrupted with Donald Trump's, non-Senate confirmed, friends. And they'll do the reporting. Well, it turns out NPR today, National Public Radio today, did a very deep dive into the medical information that we're getting. And obviously, HHS is sitting on the real numbers and won't give the real numbers to anybody outside of the White House. So you got health experts, you got, the person in charge of Tennessee's, policy, right? Wanting numbers on the neighboring states because they're treating people from the surrounding states. And they can't get any numbers from the surrounding states, but they know something's up. Because in the hospitals that are on the border of different states, they're seeing 90% capacity in ICU beds. And so they know that some states are sending patients to the border, you know what I mean? And they can't get any of the info. It's so sad. But anyway, there are no therapeutics, okay?
Let me correct something that Don Jr. said. I didn't realize he said that, but that he said this evening. There is actually no therapeutic that is available right now for the American people writ large. Right. So if you're a viewer right now listening to this conversation, no, there is no therapeutic out there that has been approved by the FDA that exists for you if you were to come down with COVID-19. So let's be clear on that. There is no miracle cure here that's broadly available. Brian, to your point here, we are expecting, my institute here, the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, has been actually right on point with its models, sadly so for the country. But we're anticipating up to 2,300 deaths every single day by the turn of the calendar year. We are expecting, and this is concerning to me as an ICU doc, 18 states to exhibit extreme stress when it comes to their ICU capabilities, meaning either they will not have the staff or they will not have the beds in 18 states across this country in their ICUs. And I think you know what that means, Brian. That means people will die. That's why we have that 2,300 number right there. So this is very serious. And I'll finally say, with Election Day upon us, mask use is lowest where it's hardest to vote by mail. And that's in Indiana, that's in the Dakotas, that's in places like Tennessee, and in Wyoming and Georgia, where governors have made it hard to vote by mail, and yet they've also done everything they can in their power to remove mask mandates. It's shameful, and it's going to put people at risk, and that's what we need to anticipate and be vigilant for in the coming days.
All right, so that's Dr. Vin Gupta, who has dual degrees from Cambridge, from Harvard, or Dr. Scott Atlas, who is a radiologist that Donald Trump saw on Fox News, who believes herd immunity or mass murder, as Dr. Hazeltine, who is the world's most respected epidemiologist, says herd immunity is. It's mass murder because it's not just 2 to 6 million people dead this year. It's 2 to 6 million people dead every year. Anyway, so this story broke today that HHS, instead of CDC, has the ability and the authority to report out the numbers for the benefit of the states, right? For the benefit of states so that they can plan how many staff they have to import from other states, how many ICU beds they have left, and that HHS is sitting on these numbers. They are withholding this information from the public health and the research community so that they can't orient themselves about whether or not they need to bring staff in from other states, whether or not they need to build field hospitals, whatever. And so people are going to end up with the worst outcomes simply because there's not enough staff to take care of a COVID patient because no one could plan for it. And I brought up Tennessee. Why? Here's a statement from the Center for Improving the Public's Health Through Informatics at Vanderbilt University, okay? She says hospitals in Tennessee serve patients who are from Arkansas, Mississippi, Kentucky, and Georgia, and vice versa, right? They share patients. She said, now we're blind when we see hospitals that are near state borders having increases. One thing we can't tell is that because hospitals in the adjacent state are full? What's going on there? And that's a really important piece of the picture that we as health professionals need, and HHS won't give us the data. They won't give us the information. And they're definitely not sharing it with the public. So the amount of information your state is getting could fit on a pinhead, and the regional data about your state's surrounding is all missing. And Junior, that little punk, is high on television screaming that nobody died.
Mary had a little lamb.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
This is one of the president's favorite claims, albeit false claims.
Ultimately, let me, and I'll tell you, it was happening. We created the greatest economy in the history of our country, and the other side was coming in.
You know that's not true.
It is totally true.
No.
Brianna, it was not the best economy in history. Even before the coronavirus wiped out millions of jobs, jobs growth in Trump's first 36 months trailed the job creation in Obama's last 3 years. And gross domestic product, GDP, that's the widest measure of the economy, it never reached the rocket ship growth President Trump promised that his deregulation and tax cuts would spark. On an annual basis, GDP growth never topped his promise of 4% growth. And when you look quarter by quarter, the Trump economy looks a lot like the Obama years. Where it was the best in history, the stock market, hitting highs even in the middle of a pandemic. Trump repeatedly takes the credit, though the Federal Reserve and Congress deserve some of that credit. And Wall Street does not always reflect Main Street, of course. About half of American households own no stocks at all. In fact, the benefits of record highs in the stock market, well, the benefits go disproportionately to the richest Americans. The top 10% of Americans by wealth own 87% of stock market holdings.
He's just lying. And here's another number for you. 164,000. What is that number? That is the number of manufacturing jobs that have been lost in Donald Trump's 3.5, 4 years in office. 164,000 manufacturing jobs lost. I mean, 8 million more people in poverty. 23 million people on unemployment. And they lied. You know, you could see on that chart that I just showed you there that they showed that you saw the second quarter GDP contract. It crashed. 32.9% loss in growth. 32.9% loss in growth. And now, yesterday, they're saying, well, we had the record-breaking, GDP numbers, 33% growth. Yeah, well, if you do the math, okay, let's say you had $100 and you lost 33% of your $100, you'd have $67. Then if your $67 grew by a third, you'd still be in the hole less than having $100. So that's the little game they're playing with you. He's just a horrible person. And he's playing with people's lives. People want that stimulus money, and we need that stimulus money, and we deserve that stimulus money because we freaking work our brains out. And then everybody, does what they're supposed to do to protect each other. You got 1,000 dead a day. We just crossed 9 million cases in the United States of America. 9 million. And here's another little game they play with the testing. Well, we increased testing. We increased testing by 15%. That doesn't account for the unbelievable doubling of cases that we've seen since March. It doesn't. The cases double every 30 days now. Testing does not account for that. And testing does not cause COVID. That's number one. Number two, testing does not cause hospitalizations. Number three, testing does not cause death. So enough already with the wasted people, the Adderall dude who stands at oh, look, there's water coming out from somewhere. Friend or foe? Because if they're a foe, I want those son of a bitches taken care of. And by the way, after he lied to his own people, shamelessly telling people we social distance, we wear masks to a crowd that was not social distanced, that was not wearing masks. Here in Florida, super spreader events, one after the other. And yes, I'm in Florida and I resent it. This is crazy. There's information that wherever these rallies are that he's having, there's COVID that ensues. I mean, how many of his friends is he going to kill? Herman Cain died. But he also then has to say, he talks like a mafia thug because that's what he is. Sammy the Bull Gravano actually said, Donald Trump is all mobbed up with us because you don't get to build anything in New York without us. That's just, something Sammy the Bull Gravano said all these, freaking years ago. But that being said, he talks like a thug because he is a thug. And he was talking about the former chief of staff, which is a big, huge job, at the Department of Homeland Security, Miles Taylor, who we found out this week is anonymous. And Miles Taylor was threatened at the Trump rally yesterday.
Google! He works for Google. I think Google should fire him very quickly because bad things are going to happen to him. But think of what he does to our government.
Bad things are going to happen to him.
It's like a horrible, treasonous, horrible thing that you can do this and you can get away with it.
The man spoke freely with documents and evidence, and other people who were there who witnessed what he witnessed, testifying to what he witnessed and the truthfulness of it. And Donald Trump stood on a stage yesterday and said bad things are going to happen to him. Bad things. And then he called him scum.
And he writes, and they say, a top White House official. Well, he was a staffer, low, had nothing to do with the White House. He had nothing to do. And
okay, first of all, let's just identify the position that Miles Taylor had. He was brought in by John Kelly, who was the Secretary of Homeland Security, of the Department of Homeland Security. John Kelly brought Miles Taylor with him and made Miles Taylor his, and he was the top guy, his chief of staff. Chief of staff is a huge job, big job, right? So Miles Taylor was in the White House, and when John Kelly moved over to be Donald Trump's chief of staff, right? Miles Taylor stayed at the Department of Homeland Security, the most senior guy there, okay? So that's who Miles Taylor is.
He goes in, and you know what? There should be major criminal liability for some scum like this.
Wow.
And you know, for a year, everybody walks into my office, Secretary of State Pompeo. I could name every one of them, all good people. I'm looking at them and saying, I wonder if that could be the one, right? You know? And it turns out to be this lowlife that nobody knows who the hell he is. He had nothing to do with us. I don't think I ever met him, and I might have met him. I think somebody said, he has a picture of me standing someplace. This is a disgrace to our country. It shouldn't happen, and he should be prosecuted. Are you listening to me back in Washington? He should be prosecuted.
It's 1984. It's an Orwell 2 minutes hate, okay? You want to prosecute a kid who witnessed your neglect, your concern with yourself ahead of the defense of the country from enemies, foreign and domestic, and he's written a book about it to warn Americans about your lack of ability and your lack of care for the American people, the evil nature in which you approach your job, the actual dismissal of America and Americans and our concerns and our abilities and our access to opportunities to live. And he should be prosecuted. Why? Because he told the truth about you, or because he disagrees with you, or because you consider him an enemy and you want to use the Department of Justice because you think he's scum. Being scum, even if he was, which he's not, but even if he was, is not a crime in this country. Witnessing the president being derelict in his duty and reporting it is not a crime in this country. I think if we had another 4 years of Donald Trump, it would be. And you know, it's interesting because Howard asked me last night, do you think they'll target you if he wins? Do you think that they would target you? I was like, go to sleep. Just roll over. He's not going to win. Just go to sleep. I can't think. Yeah, but who are they going to target? Go to sleep. Stop worrying so much. Been doing this a long, long time.
Call in, connect. Speak to Randi. Call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Here's a blast from the past.
There are 26 mafia families in the country, the rules set by a commission of bosses who divide up the territory. To get an idea of what's at stake for all of us, a presidential committee's report estimated in 1988 that the mob took in $30 billion a year in tax-free money. The report says the 5 families in New York jack up the prices on construction by 20%. At the center of this, Sammy Gravano, who ran construction and concrete for the Gambino crime family.
I literally marvel at the sight of Manhattan when I see it because I controlled it. I literally controlled Manhattan. When I see it at night, those lights and everything about it, I think of Donald Trump and Fishman and everybody else who couldn't build a building if I didn't want to build it. That got me off. Plus, I made a lot of money with it.
People forget it was the concrete business. I just whatever. There's testimony, because Sammy the Bull actually became a state's witness and went into the witness protection program. But Sammy the Bull's testimony, that's available too for you, Chuck. You could watch that on C-SPAN. You could just Google Sammy the Bull Gravano's testimony to Congress, and you'll have hours of viewing enjoyment. And you'll find out that the president of the United States is a thug. He's a thug. Just like Bolsonaro in Brazil is a thug, just like Maduro in Venezuela is a thug. These are thugs. These are people that steal. They love to steal. Jimmy the Gent. He loved to steal. Yeah, and then he sits there and threatens people. He threatens people with prosecution because he's now the president of the United States, and he thinks it's his Justice Department. It's our Justice Department, but he identifies it as his because Bill Barr is a thug lawyer. He's his Roy Cohn, and Roy Cohn was a mob lawyer too. So there you have it. I mean, in a nutshell, and America does not deserve to have a thug as its president, especially in the middle of an economic crash and a pandemic. We deserve better. I want better. I don't want some racist, lunatic, fringy, thug-loving, group of people to pick my president. I'm so over it, I can't even tell you. I thought when W lied us into a war, I thought, it doesn't get any worse than that president lying about the need to take this country to war. I was wrong. It could actually be a war here on our soil. It could actually be the zombie apocalypse. But whoever thought that in America we would have people rooting for the zombies? But hey, it's almost over. Then we have the lame duck. Holy crap. Oh my God. Yeah, we have from whenever we get finished counting these ballots, if we get to count all the ballots, I don't know. But we have from that moment until January 20th, and then there's all these key dates along the way, like December 8th, when the states have to choose the slate of electors, and then they have to go to Congress, and they cast their ballot. I think it's the 15th of December. You got all these dates. And will Donald Trump, somebody asked me this the other day, will Donald Trump be the first president in the history of the United States of America since George Washington not to concede his loss? And the answer is clearly yes. He's going to gin up so many conspiracy theories, so many, deep state bullcrap ideas in the minds of the most, I don't know what to call them. They're just so angry. The most angry Americans, I guess, is what I would call them. Just the most, we used to call them hotheads, right? The guy, we everybody knew the guy that was always willing to start a fight. You didn't even want to invite him to your house or to your house party. You didn't want to invite him to hang out with you because you always knew he would go too far, he'd get too drunk, or he'd get too high, or he would do this, or that, and the least little thing could trigger the guy, and he would ruin a perfectly good time. That's our president. And that's the people that follow him. It's that guy that you don't want anywhere around your festivities because that guy is so easily triggered and that guy ruins a good time for everybody. Jerry in New Mexico.
Hey, Randy. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hey, my question is concerning the Supreme Court and their decision coming up on the ACA.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, they meet in October, start hearing cases. Normally, they don't announce their decisions till June. Now, if that's the case in this one, unless it's an emergency, which I didn't realize it was, hypothetically, Biden wins the presidency and we get the Congress and the Senate. Couldn't the Democrats pass a new law that would address all those things between January 21st and June when they would announce it, so it would make whatever their decision was a moot point?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I kept wondering that, and I've never heard anybody say a thing about it.
Yes, this is why it's so important that not only do we add seats to the House, I mean, we have the majority there already. 2018 was a blowout. The Republicans lost 40 seats because America was tired then. Right. So now we have all these people in the Senate. How Kentucky puts Mitch McConnell back there, knowing he doesn't give a damn about you. He couldn't care less. OK, you could die of black lung. And he's been there 36 years, doesn't give a damn, hasn't moved, lifted a finger for you. But anyway, that's why the Senate's so important. That's why, Joni Ernst race against Teresa Greenfield, John Ossoff in Georgia, Raphael Warnock also in Georgia, looking good, not bad at all. You got lots and lots of, Senate seats that we need to win. We only need, 4 seats. We really only need 3 if we win the presidency, because then Kamala would actually break the ties. But we need as many seats as we can get to save the ACA and a bunch of other things that need doing, like the stimulus package that Mitch McConnell refuses to give America, even in a debate. He won't even give a floor time to it. He just won't. So, yeah, we need help, and we need the Senate. We need the Senate, and we need the Senate to fix whatever the Supreme Court decides is the fatal flaw in the ACA. They need to fix it, and they can fix it. And, yes, it could make the entire thing moot. Lou in Florida.
Hey, Randy, you look great in that Harlem T-shirt.
This is my friend Robin. It's the homage to her. She's my she's my dearest friend. I love her.
Oh, so many subjects you keep bringing up. But I had a tough time remembering what I was calling about. But actually, I was just surfing YouTube and everything like that. And with all these analysis going on about, what the Republicans are starting to make up, especially Florida, and the Democrats got to watch out and all this stuff like that. And I remember a Professor Alan Lichtman.
Yeah.
And
Alan
like a few months ago, he was calling all these presidents. He's like 99.9, correct.
Yeah, no,
and I was getting a little worried.
Yeah, no, Alan Lichtman, he's a professor at American University, which is Howard's alma mater, right? And I used to live right down the street from it. It's a D.C. School. Anyway, he's called every presidential election since 1984. And he says Biden's going to win. Yeah, you know.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randy, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
There will be no school, no graduations, no weddings, no Thanksgivings, no Christmas, no 4th of July. There'll be no nothing. There'll be no future. Other than that, it's quite a good plan, I think.
Oh, God. We have a freaking virus that is taking out 1,000 people a day. Hospitals and the frontline workers are beyond exhausted, beyond stretched thin, beyond... I mean, if I see one more, package on TV of crying nurses and doctors that are like, hey, I haven't seen my family in 2 months because I'm in the hospital treating COVID patients and I can't go home. Nurses living in their cars. He's so disrespectful to everybody. He's just so bizarre. It's all about, me, and I'll let you, infect it. Oh, God. It's just, wow. I tell you. And Biden is in Iowa.
Folks, only 4 days left.
Oh, my God.
Millions of Americans are already voting. Millions more are going to vote by late Tuesday night. And I believe when you use your power, the power of a vote, we're going to change the course of the country and, quite frankly, the world. Right here in Iowa with all of you. In the final days, please keep your sense of empowerment. Keep your sense of optimism of what we can do together, because we can do anything. I know how hard it is. More than 200, and now I think it's up to 30,000 people have died. America's dead because COVID-19, nearly 1,700 dead right here in Iowa. Iowa hit a record number of daily cases yesterday with over 2,300 and a record number of hospitalizations, more than 600. We've now hit 9 million cases nationwide, a tragic milestone. And millions of people are out of work, on the edge, and they can't see the light. They don't know. It just looks dark right now for them. 82,000 Iowa jobs lost in this pandemic, and still they've not come back. 70,000 jobs lost in Iowa since Donald Trump became president. Here at the fairgrounds, the Iowa State Fair canceled for the first time since World War II. And Donald Trump has given up.
Yep.
The White House Chief of Staff said it out loud last week. He said, we're not going to control the pandemic. We're not going to control the pandemic. In the debate last week with Donald Trump, he said, we're rounding the corner. It's going away. And only he could say, we're learning to live with it. Well, I may remember what I told him. We're not learning to live with it. We're having to learn to die with it because of you.
Yeah. Amy in New Jersey.
Hey, Randy.
Hi.
Hocus pocus. We need a new POTUS.
Yes. And a new Senate.
Absolutely. I am very hopeful. I've been making phone calls. I've been text banking, phone banking. People are getting tired of getting the phone calls, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing swing state calling, and I'm very hopeful about the people that I've been reaching. So,
what are people saying? What are they telling you?
People are fed up, but a lot of the people that I've talked to have been kind of uninformed voters, and they just don't like him. I spoke to somebody in Florida last week, and he was saying, well, I don't know if my vote really matters.
Oh.
And I was like, are you kidding? You're in Florida.
Florida.
And then we had a nice long discussion about the Electoral College.
Yeah, Florida. Remember in 2000, to tell people, Florida was given to W with 535 votes.
That's what I told them.
I mean,
that's exactly what I've been told them.
And remember what happened in Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. You're talking 10,000 votes with a difference there, and gave us this madman. So yes, everybody's vote matters. Everybody's vote counts. You know, if we can get them counted, which is why we need an abundance of people voting. Because
an overwhelming
because
turnout.
they're going to go after so many of these ballots. I mean, that's just going to happen if it's razor thin. If it's not, if it's a blowout, like there's no question that Biden has gotten to 270 plus, right? Then nobody will be molested too badly, I don't think. But Pennsylvania, you can't count on Pennsylvania. I'm looking at other states to fill in the Pennsylvania gap if the Supreme Court inserts itself. So it matters in Georgia. It matters in Texas. It obviously matters in Florida. If Florida goes blue, and we pre-count, so if Florida goes blue on election night, everyone can go to bed, everyone can sleep. You know, Florida goes blue, pretty much Biden's got like 300 plus electoral votes. So it matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
It matters.
And I want to commend that caller who is reaching out and was very respectful towards you, even though he doesn't agree with us, perhaps.
Yeah, Chuck. His name was
on
Chuck.
Policy discussions, but I commend him for reaching out very respectfully.
Me too.
And Joe Biden does have a list of accomplishments. He was a senator, so it's some of those accomplishments don't fit on a nice postcard, and perhaps that is getting muddled in the last few days. I've been hearing a lot of people say, "Well, what has Joe Biden accomplished?" Well, he passed he was instrumental in passing the Violence Against Women Act. That was his major piece of legislation that
also don't forget
that he accomplished.
Well, don't forget that
that women couldn't get bank accounts before that.
Don't forget that Joe Biden was Obama's point man because he was such a long-serving senator. He had very good relationships with Republicans also. And so when the ACA needed the votes, when the ACA was up for a vote, Joe Biden worked the Senate for the ACA and got the votes. Joe Biden has been very effective. And in fact, if you look up Joe Biden's Senate record, he's been responsible for passing thousands of laws that America just takes for granted now, like the Violence Against Women.
And he was one of the early senators who was early in adopting passing legislation, environmental regulations.
Also, gay marriage. Remember when Biden got out in front of Barack Obama by some weird accident, I mean, because Biden.
Yeah, and it was the talk of all the radio talk shows.
It was,
for
and that's how come I remember
that.
it. But Joe Biden was very early in coming out for civil unions and for gay marriage, and said it's, you love who you love. And Obama hadn't really come, fully on board. And then once Joe Biden opened the door and said, no, this administration is. We believe that,
it's the right thing to do.
That's expanding civil liberties is what you do to make this a more perfect union. That's when Obama came on board. And so, Joe Biden has accomplished a lot. It's just Donald Trump is a liar, and 47 years he's done nothing. Donald Trump's done nothing except go bankrupt.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Well, perhaps Senator Perdue would have been able to respond properly to the COVID-19 pandemic if you hadn't been fending off multiple federal investigations for insider trading.
Oh.
It's not just that you're a crook, Senator.
Wow.
It's that you're attacking the health of the people that you represent. You did say COVID-19 was no deadlier than the flu. You did say there would be no significant uptick in cases. All the while, you were looking after your own assets and your own portfolio, and you did vote 4 times to end protections for pre-existing conditions. 4 times. And the legislation that you tout, the PROTECT Act, it includes loopholes that specifically allow insurance companies to deny policies to Georgians with pre-existing conditions. Can you look down the camera and tell the people of this state why you voted 4 times to allow insurance companies to deny us health coverage because we may suffer from diabetes or heart disease or asthma?
Oh, that was Jon Ossoff, the Democratic contender against David Perdue, the senator from Georgia, who is as dirty as most Republicans, he's filthy. Kelly Loeffler also was accused of insider trading during the COVID pandemic and enriching herself. Anyway, David Perdue was supposed to debate Jon Ossoff for the Georgia Senate seat again on Sunday, this Sunday. And, well, you'll never believe what happened.
So you know what I just learned about 10 minutes ago, y'all? See, we had another debate scheduled for Sunday. We had another debate scheduled for Sunday. Turns out Senator Perdue's not coming anymore. Senator Perdue doesn't want to answer any more questions. Because, see, Senator Perdue feels entitled to this Senate seat. But this is not David Perdue's seat. This is the people's Senate seat.
Oh, come on, Georgia, just do it. Just do it. Just get up there and vote. Here's the other. There's 2 Senate seats in play in the state of Georgia. Okay, that's the first Senate race. That is David Perdue, the insider trader, the crook, the criminal, and he's running against Jon Ossoff, the Democratic challenger, who points out that, David Perdue wants to end coverage for pre-existing conditions in the state of Georgia, for God's sake. But also, as a U.S. Senator, he would be voting on these pieces of legislation that apply to all of us, okay? And then you have another one. You have Raphael Warnock, who is the Democratic challenger, and he's up against Kelly Loeffler. Let's introduce you to Kelly Loeffler in case you don't remember her. Kelly also enriched herself during the pandemic by selling short.
You, on the campaign trail, you've been boasting about having a 100% pro-Trump voting record. Is there any issue in which you disagree with the president on?
No, look, the president, like myself, he's a political outsider. He's a business person. He's a conservative champion fighting to put America first. That's what I went to Washington to do.
You were asked during the debate last week if President Trump had said or done anything that you disagreed with. You know that President Trump was caught on tape talking about sexually assaulting women. You didn't disagree with that. What does that say?
Look, what I agree with is the approach President Trump has taken since day one to put America first. What I am here focused on is working for Georgians in Washington.
And you're still not disagreeing with that particular thing that President Trump said. You're still not disagreeing with that.
Sorry, what are you referring
You're
to?
still not disagreeing with President Trump's statements about personally sexually assaulting women.
I'm not familiar with that.
The Access Hollywood tape. He's referring to the Access.
Look, this president is fighting for America. That's what I'm fighting for, to make sure that every American has their chance to live the American dream.
She's not familiar with the Access Hollywood tape or Donald Trump, actually sexually assaulting any of the 27 women with, complaints against Donald Trump for sexual assault. E. Jean Carroll, she said he raped her. He raped her in the Bergdorf Goodman dressing room in Manhattan. But Kelly Loeffler has a 30% approval rate in Georgia. She's running against Raphael Warnock. Who is Raphael Warnock? We should address him by his proper title. Reverend Raphael Warnock, who is the head of the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Georgia. Yes, Martin Luther King Jr.'s church in Atlanta.
Dr. King said in 1963 in his most iconic speech, the I Have a Dream speech given at the March on Washington. He said, in a word that folks ask me, when will we be satisfied? Dr. King in the I Have a Dream speech said, we will not be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. I think it's worth noting in this moment that Dr. King was talking about police brutality by name at the March on Washington in 1963.
Yeah, so there's your choice, and it looks like a 46-27 Warnock. Yeah, it looks like 46-27 Warnock. Kelly Loeffler is not like, she was appointed to take, Johnny Isaac retired, and so she was an appointed, senator. And so if Reverend Warnock should succeed in his quest to take that seat for Georgia, then he would be seated almost immediately. So he might be there for the lame duck, and we need that to happen. We need that to happen. Steve in Arizona.
Hey, good afternoon, Randy.
Hey.
I just want to say, this whole Republican Party, the senators, the congressmen, everybody, they want to get rid of Medicare and Social Security, all that stuff, and it is so important. Joe Biden wants to reduce the age for Medicare eligibility down to age 60, and I'll tell you why it's important. Last week, I was in the hospital, and I had major cancer surgery.
Oh.
And thank God for Medicare and a good supplement. Not none of this junk Medicare Advantage. And our whole country deserves this. We're treated so damn badly. And my wife, she's in her late 50s. She's got a brain tumor.
Oh.
Now, thank God, it's non-malignant and it's been stable for 10 years.
Oh.
But she got laid off out of her advertising positions. She's been advertising all her life. And, so she's going to have to find a job, too. And, that's going to be hard because there's age discrimination.
Does she know, internet advertising, online advertising? Does she know that?
She was, with the newspaper and other,
so print, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I would have hired her just now.
Oh, my God. Well, you wanted to, I was going to...
Just drop me a line, info@Randi Rhodes.
Yeah, I send you stuff a couple times a week, Andy.
Okay.
Anyways,
okay.
Thanks so much. I'll send... But anyways, I wanted to get another caller in. But everybody, use your brains. Think about this. You're all going to get old. You're all going to get sick sometime, and we're all going to pass. Do the right thing and vote for Joe. Thanks, Randy.
You're welcome. Yeah, we don't need to die alone. We should be able to pass with our family around us. We should be able to be so unpoisoned by a pandemic's pathogen that our family could be with us. But see, that's not the case now. People die alone. And the only person that's there, maybe the last human touch they feel, is chest compressions by a nurse or a respiratory therapist or a physician that they've never met before. Carl in Mississippi.
Yeah, earlier today, a guy came on and you asked him to name something that Trump had done was good, and you kind of caught him flat-footed. You know, there's actually a number of things that Trump has done good that I mean, you got to give the man credit for when he does something decent. And just because it's not something that is positive to your political party,
well, what is it? We're going to run out of time, so.
Okay, so for instance, conservative judges. He said he would appoint conservative judges, and he did so.
Because corporations need more help on the judiciary, right?
That's not the issue.
That is the issue. Do you think it's going to be about do you think it's going to be about social issues, or do you think it's going to be about corporate prowess?
Okay, well, just go to the next one. Triple down economics. Republicans believe in triple down economics.
It doesn't work. We're 164,000 manufacturing jobs short. Go look at his tax bill. He put a offshore tax credit in there for companies. Listen, the conservatives that he put on the court, they're there for corporate America, okay? That's what they're there for. And if you think that's a good thing, as a working guy, as a guy, good luck. All right, enjoy the weekend.
Clear.